Welcome, everyone. Yep, that number's starting to jump up. So let's go ahead and get started. Um, so I want to first thank everybody for joining us today for a roadmap to college success, finding your fit, navigating applications, and thriving on campus. I'm Sesson, the Sales and Marketing Coordinator at CE Tours. And our purpose for providing webinars such as this one is for our audience to empower educators with knowledge and tools necessary to make a significant difference in your students' educational journey. So let's get into today's topic. So just a reminder, this is a 30-minute webinar session. We're going to go ahead and explore the landscape of college admissions and student success. So during this webinar, you will discover key strategies to help students find the right college fit and flourish once they arrive on campus. Throughout this presentation, we'll uncover actionable insights that you can implement to support your students effectively through their college application process and assist in fostering a sense of belonging during your students' time on campus. So you're going to go ahead and hear some real life examples of student experiences highlighting the impact of realistic decision making. So now I'd like to introduce our speaker for today's session, Dr. Raven McMurray. She is the TRIO Upward Bound Program Coordinator from Wayne State University. She brings a wealth of expertise in college counseling, student support, and with a proven track record of guiding students through the complexities of higher education, Dr. McMurray is more than qualified to provide us with valuable insights. So I'm excited for this webinar. So get your notes ready. And please join me in giving a warm virtual welcome to Dr. Raven McMurray. So Raven, go ahead and take it away. You're muted, Raven.
Sorry. Hiccups for technology, right? But thank you so much for the great welcome. And thank you all for just being here today in this space. I hope you're able to take something away from this as I go through my presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to just drop those in the chat. I do have that up. And if there are questions I don't have the answer to, I will make sure I get your email so I can make sure we have a follow-up conversation. So today we will address factors for college fit, and we'll talk about smart college matching as it relates to academic programs, financial aid, campus culture, with that including the location, the size, and the extracurricular opportunities. So before we get started, I do want to make sure we have some engagement. So I want to know, what is your definition of college fit? So if you can just put that in the chat, we can have a 2 to 3 minute conversation in regards to that. And it was a Tuesday and we're at lunchtime, so I would love to see some engagement. And if you're not familiar,
we got someone who responded. So Cynthia Kramer says, I think size is important as well as interest.
okay, that's a really good one. Anyone else? And
Tracy, I see that you raised your hand. You can go ahead and type in your statement.
Oh, the chat is disabled.
Let me see. It shouldn't be disabled, but let me double check.
Okay. And then as we get that all figured out, if you can type it in the Q&A, we can do it that way so we don't lose out on any time. And if you aren't really familiar with college fit, that's okay too.
Chat should be open for everyone as well as the Q&A. We got a few more people. Oh, perfect. Okay, the chat is open. So Sharna, you can go ahead and type in your statement there.
Okay. Okay. Well, you know what? We got our engagement. So we don't have to spend too much time on that. I appreciate you all for trying. So college fit, I'm sure everybody was going to have their own definition. So college fit, it can range from a few different things. When I start to think of college fit, I actually think of SMART college matching. And you may be familiar with the SMART acronym for when we talk about our SMART goals. And as I always worked with students in regards to SMART goals, I started thinking about how we can also use that as we look at college matching. So when I'm thinking about SMART college matching, I want to know, is it specific to my students? What money is the school offering? Is the school attainable for my students? What resources will help them in the long run? And what thought has been put behind this decision? So we are going to dive into all 5 of these. Like I said, if I'm going too fast, let me know. But if you have any questions, just put them in the chat and we'll go through it. We'll go through the questions as we go through the webinar.
The chat's open now. We got
Oh,
Judy who says, I think that fitting the students with their interests, to piggyback on your original question. And then David Williams says, finances, size, retention rates, program offerings, but really an individual choice.
yes, yes. You both hit it right on the nose. And you are going to see that incorporated as we go through this slideshow. So the first one, is the school specific to the student? I am curious to know if any of you do career or personality assessment with your students during or before their senior year of high school. It's I don't see anything popping up in the chat, so I'm not sure if it's still working. But a lot of personality tests that people may use are the strong personality assessments, Myers-Briggs, or even True Colors. So those personality assessments, they are very important to helping students figure out their interests. And that can help them save time when it comes to changing majors.
We actually got Jana Spore who says yes, to answer your question. And then Sharna says, I don't know what we have. I represent the Upward Bound Math Science program, and that's an idea.
Yes, especially when we are dealing with those math and science programs. Students, they may think that they want one thing, but when they get that personality assessment, it may show them that their personality fits a whole different career. So we definitely want to make sure that we are using those free online tests. And then there are some that you may have to pay for, but there are an array of free personality tests online. And then what I suggest is to make students, you make a list of non-negotiables. So what are like 5 things that a student wants from their college campus? So for me, I can never go to Michigan Tech. It's too cold, it's too much snow, and I'm not going into the field that they're known for. So if a student is making that list of non-negotiables and taking that list with them to different college tours, they can know if that school will be a perfect fit for them. So maybe their non-negotiable is the weather, the major, the financial aid offered, Greek life. So some students, they may not go to the smaller private liberal arts colleges because they don't have a lot of the Greek organizations that they may want to join. So those are some things that we want to make sure that our students think about.
For your original question, we got a few more people who actually said the same thing. Tracy Cooper says, I've worked with Myers-Briggs, and Brenda says the same things. We have used Myers-Briggs in the past.
Yeah. And then the great thing about Myers-Briggs and a lot of those other personality tests is that you can find those career cluster cards online that work with the Myers-Briggs. So it's very accessible for you to do some good programming around personality assessments and career interests. Thank you so much for the engagement. So then we want to talk about money. We have to make sure that we are understanding the gaps that our students have in their financial aid packages, and we need to make sure that they understand it too. I cannot express enough how many times our students are saying, I have a full ride, I have a full ride, but they don't. So they're not understanding what first dollar and last dollar dollars are, and they're expecting to get a bigger financial aid package than what they actually have. So when we are having those exit interviews with our seniors and that final push, we need to make sure that the seniors are laying out their top 5 college choices and those award packages. And you need to really make sure that they are understanding what that gap is and how it's broken up by semester. So sometimes the student, they may see a gap and it's like, oh my gosh, it's $6,000. But then we have to break it down. That's 3,000 in the fall, and it's 3,000 in the winter. So what scholarships can we get to combat that? Then in regards to that, we need to make sure that our students are going in with a financial aid plan for at least 4 years. Some of those scholarships from freshman year are not renewable. So how are they going to supplement those $1,000, $2,000 scholarships next year, right? So we want to make sure that our students are understanding that your financial aid is going to look different. And we also need to make sure that the students know that the more that you work, the more that Pell Grant is going to decrease. So we want our students to work, but really encouraging work study and encouraging them to like look at other sources of revenue, because if they get those real jobs and they're working 40 hours a week, they're going to see that financial aid package change. So of course, junior and senior year, they may not get that maximum Pell Grant like their freshman and sophomore year, but they need to be prepared for that. So they're not in financial aid offices like, what happened to my financial aid? Does that make sense? And please let me know if I'm going too fast. Okay. The next one is the school attainable? In Michigan, we use reach, match, safety when we are having students make their college list. So we always encourage students to apply to a minimum of 10 schools, and we want them to apply for 3 safety schools, 4 match schools, and 3 reach schools. A reach school is what it sounds like. It's a reach. It's you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So you may apply, but you probably won't get accepted. And that's okay. At least you tried, right? A match school is you meet that GPA and the test score that school is requiring. And then the school, it may have that holistic approach. So you should be good to go. And then a safety school is that you are above the GPA and the test score that the school is asking for. And that may be the school that offers you the most financial aid because of how their scholarships may be set up. So when you are having your students work on college applications, we typically start, October is Michigan College Month for us. So we're really heavy into applying for schools in October. Make sure that they are looking like, so my GPA is a 3.5 right now, and I had got a 1060. So there are sheets online that has like the GPA for certain schools. So you can kind of use that sheet to look at the schools that a student should be able to get accepted into, and then those schools that may be a reach, and then those that will be a safety. Once I find that, it's somewhere on my computer, I can see if that can be emailed out if someone doesn't have it. The next thing we want to look at is the resources. So how is this school going to make sure that you graduate in 4 years? So we want to look at the TRIO offices. Cynthia, I'll definitely make sure that you get a copy. We want to make sure that they have TRIO offices, multicultural student engagement offices, student organizations, whatever will be the front line of putting out any fires a student may have. We need to make sure that our students are going in with a list of numbers. So they may need to contact Student Disability Services so they can get that extended testing time. It's always great to know who the Dean of Students is at any campus. So make sure that students have those resources when going in, and that the people that we are going to direct them to have good reputations. And then the last thing is just really making sure that we have put thought into these decisions. So when I'm saying thought, this is tying up everything. This is tying in the major, the money, the location, the resources. It's tying everything up. And we have to have tough conversations with students. Unfortunately, a lot of my work study students, they came here in the fall, and when it was time for them to give us their winter schedule so we can schedule them for the winter, they were like, oh, well, I don't have my schedule yet. So I'm like, why don't you have your schedule? Their grades weren't high enough, so they were on academic probation, and they had to have conversations with advisors, or they had balances that they did not pay, and it put holds on their account. So we have to have these tough conversations with our students while they're in high school, while they're in our safety net, before they get to college and they really fall down those stairs. We want to make sure that we can band-aid them up or protect them as much as we can. So it's okay to have a workshop day where you're giving students different scenarios. So maybe you're giving them the scenario of you got a 0.6 the fall and the winter semester. What is your next step? Or maybe you're having the conversation about financial aid, saying, hey, you have a $5,000 balance and it's the end of the fall. What are your options? So if we have these conversations now, it makes our students better problem solvers once they get to those college campuses. So when I was an advisor on the Southwest of Detroit, I had a student named Marvin. And Marvin, he was the valedictorian of his class, and he was a really sweet kid. One of the things about Marvin was he was an undocumented student. So he did not qualify for financial aid, or he was having a lot of trouble with his financial aid. So he really wanted to go to the University of Michigan. And we applied because, we use our structure, reach, match, safety. But as an advisor, I was very firm on having on-site admission days, and we always had admission reps come to the school. So we did have one school come, Albion College, and he was able to get accepted along with a lot of other kids. And the rep for the school at that time, he was very, very passionate about getting more students from Detroit and Albion. So one day he calls me and he said, hey, we want to offer Marvin the presidential scholarship. It will be 4 years of room and board. And nothing will have to come through like financial aid. He wouldn't deal with any financial aid issues. Marvin was set on University of Michigan. And long story short, he didn't get accepted into University of Michigan. And the ironic part of the story was that he ended up going to Albion, but since he didn't do the interview for the presidential scholarship, he had to pay out of pocket. So I say all that to say that although like the conversations, they can be redundant, and our students, they may not be listening, we need to make sure that they understand the consequences of unrealistic decisions. We waste time and resources. The rep from Albion did not have to have a 30-minute phone call with me trying to get Marvin to do the interview. He could have just tried to recruit someone else. It increases stress and anxiety. Marvin had a lot of stress because he didn't know what he was going to do. Not only did he not get accepted into his dream school, he was having troubles with financial aid. So he also had limited options, and a lot of our students can face this because they're just applying to the school that they really, really, really want to go to. But then if they don't get accepted, what's left? And then that makes some delayed decision making. And unfortunately, Decision Day has put our students in this microwaved society where they want to hurry up and take a photo shoot and say that they're going to somewhere, but are you really going there? So we have to make sure that we are following those steps of smart college matching, so we don't have these unrealistic decisions that can lead to all those consequences. And I see Felicia had a question. 1 second. Yes, I definitely do recommend that they apply to 10 schools during the free application week or whenever the fees are waived. It is easy to get the fee waiver. And sometimes after college application week or month, those codes still work. So maybe if your state doesn't have like a listserv that has like a sheet of the fee waivers, maybe that's something that you can suggest that your state even creates, because that has been helpful in Michigan for our students. I will say that. And then when it comes to essays, I advise that they start writing those essays during their junior year so that they can always revise them. And then free application week, every state is different. Some schools, they may have free application week where they have fee waivers or just any resources for students to apply to colleges for free. For us, it's college application month. And that is when during the month of October, you can pretty much apply to any of the Michigan public universities for free. Did that answer your question, Felicia and Cynthia? No problem. So after our students are accepted, we want to make sure that we are still staying engaged with them after graduation. And I understand our seniors, they are burnt out. I think my seniors, they started being burnt out in April. So they just want prom and graduation. That's it. And we are waiting for summer break. Unfortunately, if you have an upper bound program, summers don't exist. But we want to make sure that we are staying engaged with them as much as possible or hiring the staff that has that capacity. So summer melt workshops are very important. Like I said, Decision Day is just becoming a big photo shoot. And sometimes students, they are saying that they're going to one school, but they end up on a different campus in the fall. So summer melt will help us catch those students to see what the financial aid look like at the very end, and if they're still going to wherever they said. And then it will also help us continue to help those students who have been undecided on whatever school they want to go to, and also the major that they want to go into. When we are planning our college tours, we should always make connections with people so we can make sure our students have a mentor on campus. Even if you use Facebook, usually if I need any assistance with alumni from a college, I'll just put on Facebook, hey, is there any alumni from Alabama State? And then I'll at least get 10 responses. And then it's easy for me to partner a student up with one of the people who have commented on my status or who have been recommended. So I definitely think that it is worthwhile to make sure students have a mentor on campus, because that gives that extra layer of accountability that you may not have the capacity to fill. If your schedule allows, which I really, really hope it would, surprise your student on campus, right? So usually welcome week activities are 1 to 2 weeks before some schools may start. Just go on campus, treat them to coffee, lunch, or something. It probably will make your student feel really good. And we know that we're sending a lot of our students to these college campuses who are first generation. And that first week can be very intimidating for them. So for them to see a familiar face can truly help them in the long run. We want to make sure that we are encouraging welcome week activities for on-campus and commuter students. If they want to drive to campus, tell them to make sure that you spend at least 2 hours on that campus doing something else. And then that is a way that you can continue to incentivize your students. So maybe saying, if you go to 5 different events during your first semester, I'll give you a $50 Amazon gift card or $25, whatever your budget will allow. This is important, especially if you don't have an alumni success coordinator. It's a way for you to stay engaged with those alumni. And it keeps them there, because for Upper Bound, we still have to track them until their college graduation. And that is all that I have. I know we have about 3 more minutes. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, and then we can get those answered. And if I can't get an answer now, we can set up a Zoom or anything.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Raven, for that insightful presentation. Like Raven mentioned, we want to open the floor to any additional questions. So if you guys have any burning questions, feel free to type them in the chat or in the Q&A chat, and Raven will be more than happy to address them. And I guess I have a question, since while we're waiting. Um, I love that you brought up the personality tests such as Myers-Briggs. I know we spoke about this yesterday, but for our audience, because I was one of those students who switched majors right after my first year and a half of college, and I think that affected my graduation date. So, other than a personality test, what else can students and educators consider regarding finding that perfect major that sticks? Is the answer having a mentor that can assist post graduation? What's your feedback on that?
Yeah, I think mentors is that first line of defense that can help you, because sometimes you can get a mentor in the field that you may want to go into. But then also, it is important for high schools to build career tracks the best way that they can. I know for our Upper Bound program, we have electives, and it's to kind of help them with those tracks they may be interested in. So you may have health sciences, you may have cosmetology, you may have culinary arts. So those are some of the paths that we can start making, business, entrepreneur paths. So if we can make those things inside of high school, it can kind of make that load a little easier once they go to college. And then also, once they are in college, it's okay to go in undecided, and knocking out those prereqs that can transfer to any school, but really making sure that our students are going to that career services offices, because the career service office, they do have the resources to help students figure out their major and a career plan.
Mm-hmm. Okay, perfect. We do have another question. Audrey says, is there a quick way to find colleges with trio support?
Yes, so if you search in any college that you may want to look up, so for me, I'll look up Michigan State, look up student support services or Michigan State trio programs, and it may be able to pop up. And it is also on the Department of Federal Government site too. I don't know exactly how you get to it, but once you find the trio programs, it will give you the slate of every campus who have been awarded a trio grant.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you. And to all of our attendees, please keep those questions coming even after the webinar ends. Like I mentioned, I'll be sending a post-webinar email, and I'll include Raven's contact information. Also, her email is here if you guys ever want to get in touch with her. And before we wrap up, I do want to remind everyone that like I said, I'll be sending the post-webinar email, and in it, I'll include a PDF of today's presentation, as well as the recording of this Zoom session. So you can revisit any key points or share them with colleagues and students. And lastly, before I let you guys go, I want to extend an invitation. If anyone's interested in providing your students with enriching experiences like college visits or educational cultural tours, I encourage you to reach out to me directly to find out how CE Tours can take travel logistics out of your hands. As a reminder, we are a student group travel company and we specialize in creating memorable educational trips for students. So feel free to visit cetours.com to explore the various tour options that we have, or you guys can shoot me an email at sbain@cetoursgroup.com. And like I mentioned, I'll have my email in that follow-up webinar email as well. So also don't forget to follow us on social media. Yes, because we like to release a webinar once a month, and we promote those webinars on social media. So please follow us. We're at CE Tours on all platforms. And I believe that's it. So thank you once again, Dr. McMurray, for sharing your expertise. And a big thank you to all of our attendees for joining us today. And I'm wishing you all a successful and fulfilling journey in guiding your students toward college dreams. And until next time, take care. Bye-bye, everyone.
Have a great day.